that sort of, and maybe not in the course of one lesson, but over the course of the year, have activities that appeal to the various learning styles of the various kids in the room. And it's not that it's not every lesson, every assignment, there are 8 different projects that can be done, but that, well, for this unit, it's an essay, but for the next unit, I want you to design and build a roller coaster. I don't know what that
differentiating
would be for.
your instruction.
And giving those other learners opportunities to try to use their styles.
I think logistically we need to differentiate our space as well as our instruction.
Yeah.
In our drama room, it's a very open space. So you've got the opportunity to get up and move around. Most traditional classrooms
don't have that.
So we need to start changing that. If you look at our academic resource center in our school, which is the space where students who have their IEPs, who are taking learning strategies classes, that's where they operate out of and where they go when they need some help. It is a flexible space. There are tables, there are couches, there are computers, there's open areas, and it is a multi-purpose room. And the classroom of the past has been a unitasker. It has done one thing. You sit there and you face the teacher and listen to what they say. And that is being phased out, but the space is still the same. The style of teaching is changing, but the space that we're operating inside is still the same. It's uninspired, it's uninspiring.
Chalkboards.
And chalkboards, we need smart
boards.
And they're not the answer, but they are an
boy,
answer.
are they more engaging.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even whiteboards would be more engaging, because then you can use all of those
Colors.
Yeah.
And you don't get chalk all over yourself. My take on it is that we need more of a station-based, and we need episodic learning in the sense that we need to open up to the kids every project they're going to do this year instead of giving them out one by one. Because I will say this, as a kinesthetic learner and a sufferer of ADD and a general messed up loser, not loser, dude. I'm not a loser.
What did you hear?
Wait a minute.
What did you hear? Loser?
I said dude. But I mean, I just think of my writing. You know, I've set this goal that I write every day for half an hour, and that would be an impossible goal to meet if I was writing the exact same thing until it was finished, and then moving on to the next thing and writing that whole thing until it was finished. But that's the model we have in school. Whereas if we had a sort of menu, a smorgasbord, if you will,
modular
of activities that were modular, that you know, kids could specialize in. And we had them do them over the course of a year, and they had the opportunity. And now these are just sort of project things that are more self-contained, where the kids are self-directed. We still have the opportunity to deliver curriculum, but not for the whole period.
Right.
We break it up. We're like, you know, for 20 minutes, I'm going to give you a little mini lecture, and I can engage you for 20 minutes, and then for 20 minutes you're sitting down, and no hour and 15-minute periods. I don't think that works.
It can't work.
It doesn't work. Like, we have hour and 15-minute periods that are literally set up to fail kids. Like, they're literally set up to destroy kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't believe they're... I shouldn't say that. I said they're literally set up.
It's like it's done on purpose.
And then I used the word literally, which means that that's actually what it is. Somebody somewhere was like, oh, I would love... I would love to destroy kids. Let me put it a different way. Where we have 1 hour and 15 minutes that I see kids can't sit through.
Yeah.
And that's our expectation for every kid in every high school, everywhere. And we don't have anyway, I think we need shorter periods and things broken up more and more freedom and more opportunity. So that's that.
So how do we do it?
Well, I think that how do we do my idea?
Yeah.
I think we have to have a lot more technology in the classroom. I hashtag every other tweet from Staff Loungin with EdTech because... I think the EdTech world needs to hear what we're talking about and needs to get on board with us and start sponsoring this podcast.
That's all right.
Yeah, I do.
Just
think
the world of EdTech?
Just the world of EdTech needs to get on board. And redefining the role of the teacher a little bit. And I think bringing in, as I said, more project-based learning and really getting down to that why. Like, what are you going to... Well, once you've done this, you're going to have this. Once you've done this, you're going to use this to do this. Once you've done this, you're going to use... really, really being able to articulate and understand what we do in the class more clearly, and not expecting everyone to do exactly the same thing in every class to get the credit. And maybe having some way of saying, and businesses will say, well, this guy passed English, but he's not a strong writer. Well, he shouldn't be. Well, why don't we have flavors on the report card? Like, this guy is, when we grade, why don't we differentiate grading? Within a course, why don't we differentiate grading and just lay it right out there? You know what? And not just have like grading categories where we're confused as to what put in grading category, but rather just say, this is a task that is this kind of a task.
Yeah.
And we've actually created it specifically to be geared towards a kinesthetic learner. We've created this specifically to be geared towards a visual learner. Everyone has to try everything. Everyone has to take a taste from everything.
Right.
But when we see that person is allergic to this one particular thing, we can kind of say, you're not going to pass in this category, but you get the credit.
Yeah.
So I've passed on to somebody who's demonstrated knowledge as a kinesthetic learner, but if you get him, you're going to have to understand he's weak in these areas. Mm-hmm. But we're not going to address that because that's sort of in the nature of who he is, and meaning spelling, or different things like that. And
Lisa's making a face.
She breathed in.
Yes.
And then she was going to say, "That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard."
No, I don't think.
No,
I don't think that it's stupid at all. I think the danger is that the implementation of such a vast change. Mm-hmm. It's not just changing the way education thinks, it's changing the way everybody thinks.
Hey.
Yeah.
And people who are starting to go through this are going to come out into the real world and they're going to be judged because they don't know how to spell, and people are going to think they're stupid.
But you know what? A ton of people don't know how to spell, and they're just out there. And that's you know what I mean? And this is, I'm talking to people who are not going to learn how to spell. Mm-hmm. And those people exist. Like, unless everything that we've been taught by, people in special ed and everything else, is lies, mm-hmm. and unless every educational psychologist is lying to us, there are going to be people who are going to have lifelong weaknesses in certain areas. Mm-hmm.
But
I think
so
that
you're
what I'm
giving
saying is
them
we don't
a crutch,
teach it.
though, and saying, well, you're never going to be good at this, so you shouldn't bother trying.
No, we say that this person actually experienced success in school, but they're not particularly good at this.
But that comes
instead of rubbing their face in everything that they're not good at and never mm-hmm. giving them a chance to succeed.
Mm-hmm. If they're not interested in showing aptitude for or at all succeeding in Shakespeare, don't force Shakespeare on everybody. Mm-hmm. And I love Shakespeare. But then you take the time that you're not talking about literature and you spend it on the mechanics of writing. I 100% agree with you. I don't think we should be allowed to turn people out who can't read or write. And I think the way to do that is to shift focus in an English classroom, make it a classroom about writing, about communication, and about reading comprehension as well. But it should be more in line with the literacy course than it is in terms of a university level English class.
No, and I agree with that, and I get that.
Why don't you want students to succeed, Lisa?
Isn't it? No, and I hear what you're saying.
So many obstacles,
but it is, and that's the reality. Is that on the other end of things, and we're going, and what you're saying is no different from the observation I made, that when somebody has this thing, they have a crutch.
Yeah.
What I'm sort of talking around is the idea that what I wish we could do in school, and this goes way past the kinesthetic. This is the big thing. I wish we could do in school what I've managed to be able to do for myself in life, which is to find things that I love mm-hmm. and pursue them in my free time, not for marks, not because somebody's looking over my shoulder doing to have me do that or anything else like that. And there are a lot of kids who just, at the end of their 4-year career, have never found anything they care about.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they have, though, video games.
Yeah.
But you know what? Maybe
that's a topic for a different podcast.
But hey, you know what? Then why?
But then let's look at why the games work.
Why do the games work?
Because they're doing something. They're receiving feedback. They're leveling up. We can talk a lot about that.
Yeah.
I do want to throw one other thing out there because we said crutch a lot. Crutches aren't bad. Mm-hmm. They're good. You need a crutch to get you where you're going. Right?
Here's the thing.
If you stay on the crutch forever, then you're holding yourself back. But if you use that crutch and you lean on it, mm-hmm. I think it can be a positive thing.
Yes.
But that's on the teacher to really make the focus of the class. This is where you are. This is where you need to be. Let's use where you are to get you mm-hmm. where you need to be. But it takes a special teacher to do that. I mean, the reason why these classrooms aren't already like that is because, we're teaching the way we've always taught. The material's all there. The practice is all there. Change is slow. Change is stupid. Yeah. Change is painful. Yeah. I think there are so many obstacles that it's really great to talk about. I don't know how you could, unless you start a whole school from scratch, or unless you do it in a very small pilot project. I don't think it's something that you can start. I don't know. It's a challenge.
And that's a challenge I put out there because I think your criticism is very valid. I wouldn't want to have. I don't know what the answer is. All right, and you absolutely make a strong point. Do you want to say something?
Video games are the answer.
No, I'm good.
Okay, because you have like a look like you want to say something. But
I don't quite know how to say what I want to say. So.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes.
And then Lisa finally got her act together and wrote it all out.
But
both of us.
And this is her rant. Show note, Lisa's rant.
Yeah, Lisa's rant.
And then I think that they're really wrong because blah blah blah.
But no, I guess what I mean, maybe the answer is because on the other side of things too, like I have a very cynical but maybe true thing that life is really crappy and boring, and eventually you get a job and you go and you do something you hate every day for the rest of your life until you die because you need to do it to survive.
I don't know if that's cynical.
And is that and in which case, like, absolutely, our model of education is amazing for training kids for the real world.
Yeah,
because
class.
basically everything, a significant amount of what we do in school is to teach them that a lot of what you do you're going to hate, but you have to do it. Because that's life, and that's what adults do. And they get up, and they don't feel like getting up, and they go to a job they hate to support their family and put food on the table for you that you don't even appreciate.
I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry.
Exactly. So maybe, and I'm painting it a little negative, but I mean, there's a lot of truth to that. I don't mean to paint it so negative, because there's genuine truth to that. There's genuine truth to, you got to learn to suck it up, and you got to learn to do stuff you don't like to do, and you got to learn to, and all those kind of things. What I guess my counterpoint to that is, what a shame that in 4 years of school we haven't been able to connect with a kid and also say, oh yeah, and by the way, this will bring you joy for 30 minutes in your day.
So can I end on a positive note,
Sure.
actually? EK, who just stopped by, former student, kinesthetic learner, I suspect. Not very academically successful. We all cheered when he finally got his OSSD. Very nice kid. Came back because he has discovered a love. He said, I have this idea for a play in my head, and I wanted to run it by you guys and get some help for you guys, come back with drafts. And
wow, that's amazing.
And it's a kid who you could not get paperwork out of. You couldn't.
So, and he's been texting me on, he's been Facebooking me. He's been every once in a while I'll be like, I get this thing, I'm like, hey. Like, what's up, Elijah? I want to write a play. And I'm like, okay. And then, the last I said to him was like, well, he's like, I don't know how to get it on paper. So I said, well, good start is to just write an outline, run it by me. I figured that might have been why he was here. But super funny quote from him on Facebook, which, how people say line and then, the quote by who it's by? Yeah. And it's the quote is, I should have checked myself by the guy who wrecked himself. So even though I said his first name, we try not to say names. EK, well done, sir.
When I had EK in grade 12, there was an ad on a radio ad for, I don't even know what the ad was for, but it was something about it was enough. The line was, it was enough to make a sloth grin from super tiny ear to super tiny ear, and the way the voice actor said it sounded so much like EK that I honestly I went into school the next day after having heard it, and I said, seriously, man, did you record a commercial? Because that sounded like you. Make smile from super tiny ear to super tiny ear.
Well, you know what? Seeing him there made me smile from super tiny ear to super tiny ear. I wish I should have stopped the podcast and say hi, but I did.
He's going to come by in a couple days.
Oh, yes, cool.
Yeah, he's going to come back.
And he's going to bring by his draft?
Yeah, he's going to bring back. He said, can I bring back drafts? I said, yes. Yeah. I gave him our email addresses so he can email us stuff.
Good. Excellent.
So.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, that's a wonderful note to sign off on.
Isn't
so, Lisa,
nice?
You have a nice sign off for
us.
Excellent. Aaron, what do you like to say to the people?
Make sure that we're going to have our email address up in the show notes, and you can follow me at Aaron Piercy on Twitter.
And thank you for that passive-aggressive sign-off, and I will get right on that with the email. I'm Dave Guzgowski, signing off from Staff Loungin. Wuzzle wuzzle scene! You've been listening to Staff Loungin. The opinions in Staff Loungin are those of the participants and do not represent their employers or anyone else they might know. If you'd like to contact us at Staff Loungin, please feel free to do so through Twitter at Staff Loungin. That's StaffLoungin. We leave out the apostrophe. So thanks for listening and keep lounging.